Me. TikTok's on fire again. At least, hey buddy. At least it claims to be. I'm sure you've all seen the news, what with the Congress nonsense, this bullshit. So, let's talk about some good things that have happened on there before it goes away. Do I think it's actually gonna go away? I don't know, bro. Probably not, because they can fight it in court if it actually gets to the point where the deadline of it being banned. I don't know, bro. I don't know. But I don't see TikTok leaving for at least a good while. So, you've got time to enjoy what I'm going to refer to as micro niches. Does this mean any tiny little account with not enough followers to be interesting? No. No, it doesn't. What I'm referring to is a self-contained story being told through typically one, but occasionally a couple of channels. And just a little community that's got their own special interest, special story, special something going on. I'm a part of a few of these, and I think they're very interesting, and I'd like to talk about them. So, I've got my lobster pants, I've got my lobster, I've got no idea why this video's lobster themed. We'll start with one that I have talked about already on this channel, specifically in this video. That's right, you were in that one. Alphabet Lore by Mike Salcedo. I really hope I said their name right. This little series it started as just an animation project, and hopefully some of it is playing here. It started as like a way for an animator to stay fresh, basically. Just crank out a thing for each letter of the alphabet to do. And then, this happened.
D, F, E.
And what spawned from it was an entire story about this guy, F. F sucks.
F.
He's like kidnapping people and being a real stinker.
F.
But there's a very satisfying twist. It's a fun little story. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. You should definitely go and watch the series, because there's a season 2 now. Number lore. The numbers are invading, and that'll change some things, surely. It's cool. It's cool. I like it. I've been following along with it, and the animations are always really solid, and the storytelling's pretty solid too. It's a little simple, but it's good. So you should definitely go check that out. Now for the ones I haven't mentioned before. We'll start with a live-action one, because that seems like a slightly lower barrier to entry. This is The Dad Who Lived. Obvious Harry Potter reference aside, the concept for this one is that this person is a dad in a stable relationship and with 2 kids, Evangeline and Timmy, and they are both like protagonists of young adult fiction. The daughter has a bunch of different romantic interests: Brad the vampire, Chad the werewolf, Thad the fae, and I believe Sad the siren. And then Timmy gets up to like Percy Jackson style adventures and has friends with the children of gods and such. But all of the storytelling is told through the reactions of the dad, who's kind of just a regular guy. And I think that bit is so solid, because it's like, okay, so you're the chosen one. What does that mean? Who chose you? Chose you to do what? What do I do about this? How do I be a supportive dad about this? That's kind of the tone of the whole thing. The dad is pretty much the only one who's ever on camera, except there is a secondary account, which I think is linked, but might just be a fan account of The Daughter Who Lived, and it's Evangeline's perspective, which is also fun. But basically, all of the stuff that he does is really in character. Like, he's got a shop now where he sells mugs and bookmarks, and they're both very cool, and you should check that out as well, because I think they're cool. But it's named after the little house elf that they adopted.
He's spraying the window down. I didn't even know we had Windex. I thought we were out. Where'd you find that little guy? I'm gonna get used to this in a hurry, and I'm gonna feel bad. So how do we?
Whose name is Woplop and who we love. We love Woplop dearly. It's just a really cool, a really fun take on the, like, young adult fantasy genre, which is so often the parents are ignored or are actively the problem. And it's fun to see, it's fun to see a regular suburban dad acclimate to a high fantasy modern story that he's not even really involved in, but keeps, like, giving his daughter a ride to the battle. It's great. It's a really fun concept. This is Lumpy Touch. Lumpy Touch is a sprite artist, but he's also doing a little story on TikTok. He's got a horror AU for Where's Waldo, and that is such a solid concept for a character that's just you're meant to find him. Of course you should find him. He's a threat. Go and catch him. You, or the viewer rather, is a detective, and you're hunting down at what at the beginning seems like a serial killer, but then clearly is actually some sort of, like, demon or deity or something. He's got powers, whereas we do not have powers. So it seems. At the time of recording this, I believe there are 7 episodes. There have been a number of solid twists, but each episode starts with a genuine, like, Where's Waldo? There's the whole screen is just what would be a genuine Where's Waldo, like, it could be a setting of a park, or maybe like a schoolyard, or any public place with a whole bunch of different sprites. The first job is find Sprited Waldo, and then the second job is here's the story and what's going on. And it's really cool, and it's unnerving, and we just got a pretty significant twist, and you guys should go check it out and follow along, because boy do I want there to be more of this, and I hope it gets a lot more traction than it's already getting, which is enough that I found it on the For You page. So clearly it's doing well, but I wanted to do better, because I want more of this, and it's really cool. This one is, I believe, the biggest of all of the things I'm going to mention, but this is Jaden Williams, official Jaden Williams, and he has got a little series on his channel. It's not the channel in general, called Unusual Happenings, and I fucking love Unusual Happenings. I believe there are 12 episodes at the time of recording this, and basically, it's 2 real-world people experiencing typically like some sort of video game phenomenon or quantum physics phenomenon. For instance, the first episode is the 2 characters, Ron and someone else, witnessing a chair no-clipping through the ground, but in real life. Ron is very, like, almost Sheldon Cooper coded, where he's more focused on the science and the, like, this is interesting and it's probably never happened before of it all. Whereas the other character that I cannot remember the name of is the straight man, just like, what the hell is happening? How do we fix this? Is this dangerous? What do we do? But they're both played by Jaden. They're both played by the same person. And it's funny seeing someone take the TikTok of, I am this character. Now I'm this character, and there's a thing on my head, so I'm a woman. And now I'm this character and talking again. That interaction style between yourself, but playing 2 clearly different characters and actually, like, putting some thought into the acting rather than just delivering whatever today's joke is. And also, the editing is spectacular. Look at some of these shots. I believe there's a full team behind this. It's not just him. He's the actor, and he started it, but I believe he's got at least a couple editors / animators working behind the scenes. And all of this wacky, like, physics and or gaming nonsense looks spectacular. It's fun to see that level of technical skill displayed in a place where there's often very little, like, production value. You don't see a ton of production value on TikToks. It's usually just text on screen for whatever the through line is, and then hi, setup, punchline, twist. There you go. And it's fun to see someone taking it more seriously and doing it really well. Tom Bates is up next. This is his account, and he makes funny little animations about these 2, Nigel and Marmalade. We love Nigel and Marmalade. They're funny little guys. I'm pretty sure the same person voices every character, which is immediately funny if they're doing a good job of it and not just, this is my voice, this is my voice, I'm a third character now. But if one person's actually taking the voice acting initiative, that bit can be really funny. It's just a dog, I think, and a little wizard, and they get up to shenanigans. And the characters' designs are all loosely horrific. Typically the way that an episode goes is the two of them are presented with someone else having a struggle. Nigel uses his magic to do something that is vaguely helpful, but also troubling in some way. Like, for instance, giving a worm that is having trouble dragging something arms and legs, but not like human arms and legs, just kind of molding worm flesh into this. It's this. He does this. Usually the very specific task at hand of make worm better at dragging bag is accomplished. But there's also some secondary thing that is not accomplished. Or is made worse. Sometimes something's looking to get over a gap and then they're made to fly, but they can't like come back down, so they just go flying off into space. The worm in question is a serial killer, and that bag they were dragging was full of bodies. Usually, whoever's having the problem, like, dies or is neutralized in some way. It's a pretty simple setup of like, here's the problem, it's fixed in a weird way that causes something else to go wrong, and then Nigel and Marmalade are like, well, off we go! But it's the animation is really what sells it, because it's very simple and yet very detailed when it needs to be. Like, these two very rarely do anything different, they never really hold a different posture or anything. But whatever's happening around them is, the monster of the week is usually interesting to some degree. And I like Marmalade's funny little voice. No, I like Nigel's funny little voice. And last but not least, Mummy Joe. I love Mummy Joe so much. This is another, like, animation channel. The animations are supremely simple, but they're very intelligently written. There's kind of a series going on right now. The main, like, flagship of the channel is this little dipshit, Kid Vampire, he's going to school, and boy is that tough for a little kid vampire. But don't worry, because he meets another social outcast, Bubby, who constantly gets nosebleeds, and there's the connection. And it just kind of spirals from there. But where I think Mummy Joe really shines, not that Kid Vampire isn't great, because it is great, but where Mummy Joe really shines is the one-offs. There's a huge backlog of them. There'll be little one-offs of just a pretty simple story that kind of wraps itself up nicely. I think the best of which is the Ballad of Captain Bitters and Itsy Bee. It's a very simple little, technically a song, but more like a spoken, almost more like a chant.
Me name is Captain Bitters, and me sails the royal flea, sailing dogs from where they live to where they'd like to be.
And it's about Captain Bitters, who sails the open sea aboard the royal flea, and takes dogs from where they are to where they want to be. Which is adorable, and I'm not gonna tell you any more of it, because if there's anything out of here, any one video from this whole thing that you should go and watch, it's the Ballad of Captain Bitters and Itsy Bee. It's so good, and it's so cute, and I'm not gonna tell you how it ends, and I plead with you to go watch it. That one video is so good that honestly I have debated putting it on the list of tattoos that I want to have but don't have yet. But yeah, all of Mummy Joe's stuff is great. You should watch all of it, but if you're only gonna watch one thing, you should watch Itsy Bee. Continue to Itsy Bee adorable. And there you go. That's all of the little communities that I'm a part of on TikTok that I really like and that I hope you will join me on. I'd really like if any of these creators got to see this so I could tell them that I think their work is spectacular for one of the reasons mentioned. And I am thankful for them for giving me a smile every once in a while. I will say that this list was in no particular order. It's not like a ranking of favorites. I love all of these, all for very different reasons. But hopefully, if you haven't seen them, you can go check them out. If you have seen them, tell me your favorite things about whichever one you have seen down in the comments. I'm very interested to see if anyone has seen any of these and what they like about it and don't like. I really want to have a conversation about this in the comments. If there's any one that I want comments out of, it's this one. Check out the Patreon. There might be something from this video. Maybe, I don't think bloopers make sense. Maybe there'll be an extended cut depending on how much the editor cuts this down. Here, is there anything for this one? I'm leaving the choice up to you for this one. Wow. Well, whether or not they responded, there are some cool things on the Patreon in general, including our first patron. Our first patron that actually gets their name written, but not said. I'm not saying it out loud, that's a different tier. But if you want your name to join the list, or to be said aloud, then you should check out the Patreon. There's plenty of bonus content on there, it's all fun. And if you don't want to spend money on me, and trust me, I get it, come hang out in the Discord. We do fun stuff in there. We hang out, it's a fun little community of people who like spending time with each other, and you could be the next friend to join the list. Links to everyone I've mentioned down in the description, as well as links to everything about me that I just mentioned down in the description. You got anything else to say? Anyone you want to mention very briefly? What about you? You want to say anything? See you for the next one.